So this is what all about scoping, and I'm going to let you know about hoisting. What's called hoisting? Uh, Now I declare a variable 1 here on line number 6, but I'm going to print that variable at line number 2. The variable is declared here and I'm printing it over here. What happens if I run this code? You get undefined. So you get undefined. Uh, how is that possible? Uh, because when you run this code, whatever JavaScript code, there are two phases. One is compilation phase and another one is execution phase. Both happens together, so you don't find any difference. You don't notice it, but actually what happens, this code, when this code is run uh, during the compilation phase, this will be like this code will be, wherever it finds var, that would be hoisted to the top of that scope. Then it comes here and it comes here. um, I'll let you know about the function later, but for variables, this is how it is going to be. So what happens, this happens before executing the code. uh, so when the code executes, it has the variable 1 already declared on top. If you don't mention any value, or if you don't initialize with any value, the default one is undefined. So this is like this one, and this one, both are same. Okay, so this is how uh, let me put it in this way. So these both are same. So it has a value undefined, so that undefined is printed over here. Okay, uh, this is called hoisting. Now let's print this. So whenever you declare a variable, this variable or identifier is available to all the inner scopes. Okay, for inner, when I say inner scope, like if you have a function, if you have a block or function, you can access this variable 1. Let me comment all those, and this is how we used to have the code. Now the variable 1 should be available inside function 1. The variable 1 is declared in the global scope, but I'm trying to access it in the inner scope, which is function 1 function scope. I refreshed. When I executed this code, you can see this variable 1 is printed over here as 1. That's available inside the function scope. Okay, which is good. But what happens if I try to declare a variable 1 again in the function? Or 1 again. Now it's the same code. I just declare this variable 1 again inside this function scope. Okay, so the variable 1 is declared in two places. One is the outside the global scope, which we are trying to print it over here, and another one is inside this function scope. Right, now if I execute this one, we get variable 1 undefined. I haven't changed this one, I just declare this variable, and we are getting variable 1 undefined. The reason is that it's happening because of hoisting. As I told you before, anything inside the scope, okay, when the code executes, right, during the compilation phase, this code will be converted to something like this. something like this, right? That's because of the hoisting. If you declare var somewhere, down in the code in the same scope, all those variables will be hoisted to the top like this. It will leave the values over here. You are defining one again string to this variable one. That definition would be left at the same place, but the declaration will be hoisted to the top of that scope, right? Because of that, we are getting undefined here. So you should be careful. That's a reason why you should always declare your variables on top of the scope, and it actually reduces the confusion also. Now you know exactly how many variables you are declaring in this scope. Okay, that was the reason, and hoisting is the main reason. um, Now this is the hoisting, variable hoisting, right? And what happens with the functional hoisting? Let's see that as well. I'll just revert this also. Okay, um, let me run this code. So we have just executed this function 1, and that is printing variable 1. This variable 1 is declared in the global scope. As I told you, whatever you declare in the global scope or any scope, those declarations will be available to their or to its inner scopes. Okay, uh, so function 1 is an inner scope of this global scope. There you can access this variable. This is fine. Okay, now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to show you how the uh, function hoisting happens. Let me move this function here, and I refreshed it. The function, actually, lexically the function is uh, declared here, but I'm executing the function before the declaration, right? When I execute it, it actually works fine. It calls this function, and it prints it. So how it works? As I told you before, the same way variable hoisting happen. This is also happening in the similar way, but not exactly the same. Uh, for functional declaration, the entire function would be hoisted like this. Okay, so this happens the compilation phase. uh, Now the function declaration getting hoisted to the top with the definition. That's why it's working fine. If your function has a function keyword at the start, then that's called a function declaration. You can assume it in that way. And there is another way to declare a function. So you can you can declare a function like this. So this is called a function expression. Okay, let me variable 4. So this function 2 is called this method of declaring a function is called a function expression. And this is called function declaration. So there are two functions. This is a declare. This is a function declaration, and this is a function expression. During the compilation phase, function declaration will be hoisted with the definition. When I say definition, you're defining all this code, right? So this entire code, the declaration with the definition will be hoisted to the top if it is a function declaration. That's why it worked fine. But if it is a function expression, then only this part will be, the declaration part will be hoisted to the top. Okay, when I say top, it's going to sit here. And this is how the interpreter will see the code while executing. Okay, so if you try to execute this function 2 here, then actually it doesn't find it, right? Because only function 2 got a hoisted, that declaration got hoisted, not the function expressions definition. So you get an error. These are the things which you need to know about scoping and hoisting. Let's continue this in the next tutorial. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please subscribe to my channel. See you again.